first off, I want to start. How the hell did you end up at Barstool? Because I'm guessing you weren't at the U of I saying, I want to be a blogger for a living. I'm going to guess that was not your path initially, but somehow you end up here. How did that go?
Yeah, I've told the story like in a bunch of different versions over the years, and like it's good to come back and like tell it one more time or try and tighten it up a little bit. But I was introduced to Barstool in college my senior year. I think you and I have connected about this. We're both accountants.
Correct. That's correct. By trade. Yep, that's right.
I went to Illinois and I walked on the baseball team. And when I walked on the baseball team, they're like, "What's your major and what do you study?" And I was like, I'll study. What college can I get into? And so I had pretty good grades. I transferred into the College of Business. And when I got there, they're like, "What do you want to major in?" You're like, "I'll major. What's the best major?" In accounting. And my brother studied accounting. I didn't know shit about it. So really it was just a matter of like, if I can study this, I'll study this. I know this is good. And so while I was playing baseball and studying accounting, but people don't tell you when you elect a majors, these classes are 2 hours long. So we're just bored out of our fucking skulls in these classes. And my longtime buddy comes back after like doing an internship in Boston, and he comes back. He's like, "Dude, you got to read this website, Barstool Sports." And that was in August of 2009. So we were in our graduate school together, and I just became instantly, fanatically obsessed with the website. Like day one was just obsessed with it. So I wasn't like I don't know if I'd say like as soon as I got exposed to it, I was like, I want to be a part of this so fucking bad. And that was
that's crazy.
Yeah, like 15, 16 years ago. And so just start there, like send in a blog, emailed Dave Portnoy a couple times. I met Dante out one time, met Dante out another time. I was in the same softball league as Big Cat. I had like built up a pretty big blog presence on my own called Stirkwood. And then like it was something I really wanted to be a part of. So when I got out of Illinois, I went to law school, and in my head, I'm like, maybe I'll work for a major league front office. Like I would email front offices, I would send my resume out, and then in the meantime, I'd be emailing Dave Portnoy. And it was really those were like the two paths I was basically interested in, which is so fucked up to think about. Like or major league front office, and but even then, dude, as you say this, like it took. I was on Barstool for like 4 years writing 3 blogs. And like even then, you're only writing like 1 blog a week, maybe 2 blogs a week, maybe 0 blogs a week. Big Cat's like a superstar. You're just writing Cubs blogs and just trying to stay relevant.
Well, how does that work then, Carl? Like when you're first starting out like that, you're not a paid employee or anything. You're someone just trying to get your foot in the door. You send them blogs, and it's like a submission process. Like they'll use them if they want, or they'll tell you to fuck off if they don't like it. Is that kind of how it works, or what?
No, dude. I'm going to tell this. I've never told this story before. I'm going to tell you one. You send in blogs. You send in your blog. Dave Portnoy would be like, if you want to write for Barstool or work for Barstool, start a blog and write the blog. And so you'd be surprised how few people actually start a blog and keep a blog then. I mean, for every email if you get 100 emails, like there's maybe one guy that actually started a blog and kept the blog, or maybe somebody starts a blog, but they don't keep it. It's pretty hard. Right. So Dave would say, start a fucking blog, update it 3-4 times a day and send it in. If it's worth the shit, I'll take a look at it. So that's how I did that. And it got me emails with Dave back and forth where he's like, "Hey, you're a pretty funny writer, but you're also a pretty bad writer." And like some stuff's good, some stuff's terrible. And the emails are really funny in hindsight to go back and read. But I had basically done enough to get into like that Barstool radar or mix or whatever. And then it was like May 2013 and Big Cat, this was his first year full time. And I had like sniffed out, I'm not going to accuse him of plagiarizing, but he basically
maybe he borrowed some ideas
from a famous handicapper on Twitter called Stucky, and they had like similar tweets back and forth or something. Yep. And I had sent Dan like a tweet being like, "Hey, you fuck." This is why Big Cat's such a genius. He replies, he was like, "Hey, what happened to your blog? Email me if you want to blog here." Like he's so savvy on the internet. Like he just looks past conflict right away. He's just like, "Oh, what happened to your blog, dude?" And so next thing you know, I end up in this like email exchange with Big Cat where he's like, "Do you still blog?" And I was like, "Yeah, I still blog a little bit." And he was like, "Well, if you're interested, I could use some help with the Cubs, and I know you know a lot about baseball." So that was like really kind of that first entry point. It wasn't like Dave was like, "Oh, your writing's great" or whatever. Like it actually had to take some like weird cosmic moment of me catching Big Cat in something and catching him at the right time for him to say, "Send me an email if you're interested in blogging." So I followed up on that. And I mean, and then it takes like a year to get comfortable, another year for like you to actually be comfortable. And but at that point, Dave's like Portnoy has like no idea who you are. It's just you're just sending blogs into Dan, and Dan's just like, you know, giving you a hat at the end of the week, or, you know, giving you free
Right.
tickets. And he's you know, like, you're just, at the time Barstool's so small, you're just trying to fucking do something during your lunch break and stay interested. So, dude, honestly, Beef, like, this is a story that, like, it could go for fucking 10 hours, but it's so meaningless. And, like, at any point in time you don't do something, then you and I aren't sitting here having this conversation here. Right? In hindsight, everything feels so unbelievably important to tell those details, but it was a Wild West, the internet back then.
I got follow-ups here. When Dave Portnoy sends you an email back and he says your some of your stuff's good, some of this stinks, does he give you notes, like critical, like here's what you did that was messed up? That's why I'm curious. Or is it just like this blows? Like how did that work?
I remember writing this blog about, it was like some country in Africa, I can't recall off the top of my head, like, you know, something I wouldn't know, the Democratic Republic of Congo or something. We'll just say they made headlines because it was, the headline was something like study finds you know, Congo, I'm just using them as an example. Congo has like the lowest cost, or is like the lowest quality of living, but also the largest dick size. And I remember writing this blog and being like, all right, on one hand, like smallpox, you know, that's not good. You know, carrying water over your head 16 miles uphill. Not a good situation. However, it's a guy of, you know, very average proportions. And so, like, I remember writing that, but that blog was only like 200 words. And then there's the follow-up blog was, you know, like 1,000 words about something stupid. And Dave's like, yo, the big dick blog's funny. Like, just do more big dick stuff. I swear, it's one of the funniest emails.
That's amazing.
But that's kind of a tense moment emailing with him when you're trying to get it in. You're like, everyone wants to get his attention. And then when you get his attention, you're like, I don't know if I want this guy's attention right now.
Right. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
And also you mentioned, you know, you got you a little crossing with Big Cat on Twitter. Was this before or after you went in the same softball league as him? Had you already befriended him, or was this later on? Like, how did
we had
work?
not befriended each other, but we were in the same softball league. It had just started. It might have been a week or two into it, where it was like, yo, the guy on that team that's Big Cat from Barstool or whatever. And I was, you know, like, Dan is a very good blogger, and if you blog and you were on the internet blogging around that time, and you're aware of Big Cat as a blogger more than a radio host or a social media presence or a fucking coffee guy now, or like he's 1,000 things now, but at the time,
it's huge, yeah.
Dude, he was just puts out, you know, 8-10 blogs a day that are all unique and witty, and some are short, some are long, some are fucking just super weird and off the wall. And so he's just such a good fucking blogger. So at the time, it was like, you know, you knew who he was. He had no fucking clue who I was. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah. That's great.